go.
Yeah. So Nancy was. It was like right before Easter, and
What year?
Nona. Oh, this is like
80.
1980. Yeah, yeah. Nancy was visiting her mommy, Grandma Alice, who was not a grandma yet. And she lived in Stevensville, which you go on the highway on Route 50 past Annapolis, and then you get to a big intersection off of 50. 50 crosses with this other road that takes you to Stevensville, which is where Grandma Alice and Grandpa, I don't know what his name was. Chuck?
Charles. And
Charles.
Papa.
Papa lived.
Papa.
Nancy was there with Danielle and Nina and Jesse and Jackie, and they were going to color Easter eggs. So I said I would bring the eggs. And so I had my father's green car, really ugly car, and I had 2 or 3 dozen eggs, raw eggs, on the seat next to me.
Were they supposed to be hard boiled?
Yeah, we were going to boil them when I got there.
But were they supposed to be already boiled?
No. And I passed Annapolis, which is where my boyfriend lived, and he and I had just sort of broken up, and I had been upset about him, about breaking up, and this wonderful song came on the radio. It was like an Allman Brothers, a great rock and roll song, and I was singing at the top of my lungs. And I got to the intersection where they had a light.
Were you driving?
And I was driving. I was so proud of myself that the road continued past Annapolis, and I could live without him. And the road that crossed over 50 at that point, 50 is a big highway. It's the one that goes over the bridge and goes to Ocean City. Big highway, and everybody was going 55 miles an hour, and the road that crossed was also big. And there was a light, and I sat there singing, and it turned green. And so I started to cross. I crossed, but there was like a little island in the middle, like a concrete island, that I was supposed to go around. And then if I had gone around it, I would see a green arrow that would be my permission to turn left. And I didn't see the green arrow. What I saw was just a regular green light. It was confusing, and I was singing really hard. And all of a sudden I look, and I turned, and I've crossed 50, and I'm looking at cars headed towards me, and I'm in the wrong lane. Oh my God! Wait a minute, what am I doing here? And I stopped because these cars were going to start coming towards me and hit me. Next thing I know, bang! This car that was going down Route 50, the back of my car was sticking out in the highway. And bang, he had to hit me. And my head like hit the window, and I was wearing overalls, but I wasn't wearing underpants. And all the broken eggs came smashing, hit the windshield, hit me. All the eggs are dripping down the front of my overalls, and the windshield broke, and all the glass, little crinkly pieces, teeny pieces like the size of my pinky nail, is broken, and it's sticking to me. The eggs are wet, dripping down my front, and the glass is sticking to my gooey egg yolks all over me and in my pants. And I'm like, oh God. And the cops came, and we didn't have cell phones at that time. And they put me, like, I was just like this, because my head had hit the window. I was fine, but they made me get out, and I started talking. They said, no, don't talk, lady. Don't talk. Sit on the curb. I sat on the curb, and they shined a light in my eyes, and apparently my pupils didn't dilate the way they were supposed to. They go, no, we can't let you go. I mean, you can't go anywhere. This car, we can't drive. You can't drive this car. I said, well, let me call my friend. And I don't know how I knew what her number was.
Because back then you remember numbers.
Yeah, but I didn't have Alice's phone number in my head.
You didn't have phones.
But they
Phone
had
book?
they had a phone that they could call. I
Phone
said,
book?
maybe. I said, I'm going to my friend's house. She's with her parents. Their last name is Imler, and they live in Stevensville. So they called. They said, we're taking your friend to the emergency room. Can you pick her up there if she's okay? And Nancy said, yes, yes, yes. So they took me to the ER, and they determined that there was nothing wrong with me. And they wanted me to take off my clothes, and I said, I can't. And they said, why? I said, because I don't have underpants on, and I've got glass in my pants, and I took.
I remember you telling me a story where they just cut it off of you. At the scene.
No, they didn't. They did not. I dropped them in the ER, and all this glass fell out all over the floor. I was worried about my Winky having glass in it. And so then Nancy goes, look, there's a Dollar General on the way to my mother's house. We'll stop and get you some underpants. And I said, okay. So she said, but don't tell my mother we stopped at the store. And I said, why? And she said, because she'll get mad at me and say, I should have brought you straight to my house. And
Classic.
so she went in and she found 2 bathing suits for Jesse and Jackie. She said, don't tell them where we got these. And I said, okay. So she took them in and she showed them to Jesse and Jackie, and they got all excited. They ran into the bedroom. They took off their clothes. They put on the bathing suits. They came out dancing with these bikini things on. Look what Mommy bought us. Look what Mommy bought us.
How old are you?
The tags are on.
I was older. They were probably 3. I was 9.
Yeah, she was about 9. Yeah. Alice said, what? Where'd you get those bathing suits? And they said, Mommy bought them, Mommy bought them.
Oh,
And she had made chili. And so she was standing at the head of the table serving chili into little bowls. And she said, oh, so you have time to go shopping. And Nancy said, Mom, or she didn't call her Mom, so she said, Alice, listen, you know, Carolyn had this accident. I know. And she said, and she wasn't wearing underpants, and she had those overalls on, and the glass and the eggs went into her into her pants, and we had to stop and get her some underpants. And she goes, oh my God, she said, people that don't wear underpants, it's just like those people next door sleeping in the raw. They were sleeping naked, and their house caught on fire. They had to run out naked. Served them right.
oh my God.
And Nancy was like, oh God. And she said something, Chuck said something. He said probably something very kind and supportive, and she said, and she started screaming at him. And he got up and he left, and he slammed the bedroom door, and we never saw him again. And he stayed in there. He didn't get any come back and get your chili, she said. He wouldn't come back. And I was like kind of crying because I'd blown it. And
Like you never ever saw him again?
well, probably didn't. I probably didn't, because he didn't. He was very quiet, and he didn't come out much. So we got our chili.
I know her.
And I said, you know, Alice, I didn't mean to have an accident without underpants on.
Who does?
I know. She said, oh, you know, she had another story about somebody else that had bad luck and deserved it because they didn't wear underpants.